let's jump into it because the biggest move that has the biggest ripple effect is Kirk Cousins deciding to go from Minnesota to Atlanta. That seemed to come together real quick. Well, what's the origin of all this, Albert?
You're saying suspiciously quick?
No.
Suspiciously quick?
Yeah, for a big move, a couple hours of open window chit chat. It was interesting. But what's the genesis behind it here?
Well, this is like a result of the last 3 years, really, and kind of how sideways the Falcons plan had gotten. And I think like for good reason, Arthur Smith and while he was still there, and Terry Fontenot had a plan to, build something up for a new quarterback and build around the quarterback position so they could put one in there and be fully supportive of him. And, I think their pursuit of Deshaun Watson a couple of years ago sent that plan a little sideways where they offloaded Matt Ryan probably a year before they'd planned to. And then rightfully so, they didn't like any of the quarterbacks in the 22 draft, so they're sitting there in 22 and it's Kenny Pickett and and Sam Howell and Desmond Ridder, and you remember that group. And so they don't take one in the first or second round, they get Ridder in the third round. And then like last year, same thing, they're sort of out of the range to get CJ Stroud or Bryce Young or Anthony Richardson. So they continue to build and build and build. And as often happens, the owner can get a little impatient, and that's what happened, and sort of led to the conclusion for Arthur Smith. So I do think there was a lot of pressure on the people in the Falcons organization to get this taken care of right now. And they were fortunate to have an option out there, and it wasn't the only one, but they were fortunate to have an option out there that they were very familiar with. Raheem Morris was with Kirk Cousins in Washington for Cousins' first 3 years from 2012 to 14. And then if you're talking about like scheme carryover, well, Zach Robinson worked under Kevin O'Connell in Los Angeles in 20 and 21. So when Zach Robinson's looking at the tape from Minnesota, he sees a lot of familiar things, and there's a lot that's going to carry right over to what they're going to do in Atlanta. So it was a perfect fit in a lot of different ways. It filled the need that, I think there was pressure on the building to fill. And, so they were going to be aggressive with this. Again, they had a backup plan. They were going to look at Baker Mayfield if Kirk Cousins didn't work out, and Justin Fields was also an option for them. But Kirk Cousins was option 1A. And, certainly they attacked it aggressively, and they go out and get him. And this isn't the fully guaranteed deal that Kirk Cousins got in 2018 from the Vikings. This is really essentially a 2-year deal, and then we'll see. But it does give the Falcons an answer for right now and the chance to unlock, a lot of what they've built there, and spending top 10 picks on guys like Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson and Drake London. And then, of course, having the offensive line that they've assembled and paid.
And of course, now they can use the 8th overall selection on the best player available and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. But the question also lingers as to why Cousins is happy to move, right? I mean, Kevin O'Connell is a clear quarterback coach, former quarterback himself. Justin Jefferson is the guy he's going to be throwing to. So why was Cousins so eager to just bolt Minnesota, Albert?
I think he loves Kevin. Like, I think he loves Justin. I think that those things are there, and you're right to point them out, no question. I think as much as anything, Rich, this is about like the history of the negotiation and what happened over the last couple of years. And, I know when they put an offer in front of him last offseason, the 2023 offseason, that offer didn't guarantee anything past 24. So he's looking at it and saying, okay, I know I've got this year, and they're really only guaranteeing one extra year. And it was made clear to him at the time, like, look, like, we love you, we want to keep you around, but we're not doing what we did before with the 3-year fully guaranteed deals. They did that twice for him. They made it clear they weren't going to do that again. And there were going to be limits on how far they were willing to go. And so, you put a player in that position where he's got to incur the extra year of injury risk, and then he tears his Achilles while taking on that injury risk. Well, now you're looking at it, if you're Kirk, and you're saying, okay, well, they let it get to this point. I tore my Achilles, and, now I'm going to go to the market, and I'm not going to do a hometown discount. I'm going to give him a chance, but I'm not going to do a hometown discount. And so I do think that because of the history there, this became a highest bidder situation, and the Falcons wound up being the highest bidder.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.